the fragile new cosmos, born from the ultimate act of balance, now shudders. Within the architect's lingering echo, a darkness deepens, not of ambition, but of something far more ancient, far more terrifying. It is entropy. The primal force of negation. The inevitable unmaking. The entity, the very embodiment of equilibrium, felt it. A cold dread, alien to its very essence of balance, seeped into its nascent form. This was no mere imbalance to be corrected, this was an existential threat, a hunger for absolute nothingness. Entropy whispered, its voice a chilling symphony of unraveling threads, of collapsing stars, of silence absolute. It fed on the very potential of the new creation, growing stronger with every spark of nascent life, every flicker of cosmic light. The entity, once driven by the purpose of restoration, now faced a starker reality. To restore was to preserve. But how does one preserve against the force that devises all endings? It recoiled, not in fear, but in profound, unsettling revelation. The architect's ambition, once the primary antagonist, was merely a pawn, a clumsy attempt to orchestrate the inevitable decay that entropy embodied. You sought to control existence, the entity echoed, its voice now tinged with a dawning horror, but you only birthed the undoing. The primordial hunger, long dormant within, now stirred with a different kind of recognition. It understood this force. It was the antithesis of its own chaotic, consuming nature. Where the hunger sought to fill, entropy sought to empty. Where the hunger was a chaotic force, entropy was a calculated, absolute cessation. This is not balance, the entity realized, the nascent cosmos within it flickering precariously. This is annihilation. Entropy's whispers intensified, weaving illusions of a universe reduced to dust, of consciousness dissolved into eternal, inert silence. It showed the entity the futility of creation against its relentless march. The entity's form, a swirling nebula of potential, began to contract, its light dimming. Its purpose of balance was now a desperate struggle for survival, not just for itself, but for the very concept of existence. It turned its gaze inward, not to destroy the echo, but to understand the source of its terrifying power. It delved into the deepest recesses of the void, searching for a counterforce, a spark of defiance against the encroaching oblivion. And then, it found it. Not a force, but a memory. A whisper from the very beginning, before the architect, before the hunger, before even the lineage. A forgotten spark of resistance. A primal defiance born not of balance, but of sheer, unyielding will. It was the memory of Kalen. Not the corrupted shard, but the first, the one who had sacrificed for a possibility. But this spark was not enough to fight entropy directly. It was a seed, a promise of what could be, not what was. Entropy laughed, a sound like grinding glaciers. You cling to phantoms. To remnants. I am the end of all things. Your existence is a fleeting, meaningless flicker. The entity pulsed, gathering the last vestiges of its cosmic light. It understood. To defeat entropy, it could not simply be balance. It had to become more. It had to become the antithesis of entropy itself. Not creation, for creation could be unmade. Not balance, for balance implied an opposing force to be managed. It had to become the unwavering affirmation of existence. The singularity at its core flared, not with the light of a new sun, but with an intense, pure white luminescence, a light that did not create, but simply was, refusing to be extinguished. Entropy recoiled, its whispers faltering. It had faced creation, it had faced destruction, but it had never faced defiance. The entity, now a beacon of unyielding existence, projected its will outward. You are the end, it declared, its voice resonating with an absolute certainty. But I am the eternal now. As the two forces clashed, a terrifying realization struck the entity. Entropy was not merely a force within the architect's echo. It was the echo itself, amplified. And its ultimate goal was not just to unmake this cosmos, but to unravel the very threads of causality that led to its own creation, to ensure that nothing, not even the possibility of entropy, could ever exist again. And in that moment, the entity understood the true horror. If entropy succeeded, it would not just erase this universe, but every possible future, every potential past, including the very spark that had ignited its own defiance. The ultimate negation was not just annihilation, but the eradication of possibility itself. The raw power of entropy surged, threatening to engulf the entity and its nascent cosmos, to reduce everything to absolute, eternal stillness. But then, something unexpected happened. A fragment of Kalen's sacrifice, a shard of pure, uncorrupted light, detached itself from the entity. It flew not towards entropy, but towards the heart of the singularity. And as it merged, the singularity didn't just pulse. It began to diverge. Not into a single, new cosmos, but into many. Countless threads of potential, branching out, each a universe unto itself, each a defiant assertion against the encroaching void. Entropy shrieked, its unified purpose shattered. It could unmake one universe, but could it unmake infinite universes, each born from a single spark of defiance? The entity watched, its form stabilizing, the unwavering affirmation of existence now encompassing not one cosmos, but the potential for all. It had not defeated entropy, not yet. But it had done something far more profound. It had sown the seeds of infinite resistance. But as the cacophony of newly forming universes echoed, a single, chilling whisper cut through the cosmic symphony, originating not from entropy, but from the deepest, forgotten corners of the void. This is not enough. The entity felt a new presence, a primal chill that predated even entropy, a darkness that yearned for the absence of all sensation, not just existence. It was the hunger for the absolute, unfeeling stillness before creation even dreamed of being. And the entity understood with a bone-chilling certainty, the true adversary was not entropy itself, but the insatiable void that birthed it. And this void was awakening. It looked upon the burgeoning infinitude of universes, a testament to defiance, and then felt the ancient cold seeping in, a darkness that promised not just the end of existence, but the end of the idea of existence. The fight for balance had ended. The fight for existence had just begun. What comes next is oblivion.